Hey, this is Edithson Abelard. I'm back, and I just wanted to show you something really quick, and that was how I'm using this flatten brush. So what I started doing is I'm going to pull up this high real quick, and I'm going to show you how it looks like here. Still a whole lot of speckle on here that's not necessary, but as you can see, there's so much character now to our cloth here, as well as uh, our poles. However, something that most people end up messing up a lot in computer graphics is these sharp lines. So although this is, our goal is really to be more cartoonish with this, so we aren't going to have as much, per se on a realm of realism. However, this is still really bad. And on top of that, it's hard for the normals and the light to really catch when there is just such a smooth line. So this is actually something that I would have done in ZBrush. Actually, let me bring this back. I would have done this in ZBrush, but in ZBrush we would have used something called the H-Polish tool, or the Trim Dynamics sometimes I might use as well. But all I'm doing here is going around and actually adding just some imperfections uh, to this actual edge. And what this will end up doing is giving the light something to bounce off of and catch, but it also brings up the realism quality as well because it's not so perfect. And while I was doing it, I was like, man, it would be a shame if I finished this and didn't explain that you can use this and you can, and this is another way for you to use a flatten. And as you can see, this is actually coming out pretty good. You'll have to keep going back and forth and working it. I'm also smoothing it at the same time, but I just don't want these hard edges because there really isn't line per se in nature. Now if I just bring this back, you can see just how now this looks really good. Modo's doing a little nastiness with rendering that right there, but that's okay. But as you can see, this is so much better than what we have. Just scroll out over here. Much better. So I'm going to continue playing around with this. I'm actually going to come over here and actually work this. And you know what? I'll actually keep recording this because I think this might be something cool to see. Uh, and that's just, I'm going to take this and almost pretend like this was actually carved. So I'm just going to keep working this up. First thing I want to do is get rid of this line here, but because I'm going and doing both a horizontal and a vertical stroke, what I'm getting is a perpendicular line. So when I come across this, you get this nice unevenness that you would get if you were to actually take a knife and carve on wood. And once again, this is the same thing that I would have been doing in ZBrush, but doing it right here in Modo. And if I just keep, and I like to look at the preview just because you get these nice shadows in here, and it's really quick, so it's not like it's really costing anything to do those renders. I can take this down a little bit. Maybe smooth this line out. Now you also see that I'm actually working with the fall off as well. And once again, I'm using a tablet to do so, but you can actually change that here. You can change the step, you can change the offset as well. Your flatten brush has many different, so right now it's set to adaptive. So you also have many other options here, so that's something to think about as you're working and you don't want things to look exactly the same each time. You may want to come in here and start to modify some of these settings. Take a step down. Yeah, just don't want perfection. That's all we're doing. We're just trying to get rid of the perfection. And taking it all the way straight up. My brush a little bigger. I think that's cool. We want this to have some sort of aging on it, not too much, but just enough, once again, to add just a little character, because that's what goes a long ways, is when you have character on any of your meshes. We like to look at Steamboat Willie and say, wow, this is where animation came from, but the truth is all that we're doing, they were just adding character to things that you just normally don't see a lot of character to, and you still see that a lot in today's animations. You start adding a little character, something leaning to the side. The models, the characters, they should all tell a story when you see them. And when you see this, you should be able to say, hey, it's been around for a while, even if that's just the only story you get. It should still say something to you, and it should resonate, so that you don't have to write part of the dialogue that this was an older village. It's been around for a while. You don't need to say that, because the character within the village itself should be able to tell you a lot more about the story than your dialogue should. So that's all I wanted to show you. In the next video, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start the process of doing retopology for both of these meshes, and then we'll look at both normal maps and baking out the ambient occlusion. Edithson Abelard, I'm out.